And then in Saudi Arabia, the big talking point, the one that is a very thorny rose right now, is Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou, the former UFC heavyweight champion, against the current WBC heavyweight champion, but not for the WBC or UFC belts, just for a fight between two guys from two different codes.
Listen, I'm
looking forward to them all, by the way.
I want your thoughts. I'll come to all that in a minute. I want your thoughts this evening on the show. 03717 223344. You know where we're at on social media. If you are consuming the show live, great. If you are consuming it on delay, even better. You can obviously join in with some of the topics that have already then taken place. And if you're consuming it via our YouTube channel, everything's up there for you to go and get stuck into. All right, like I said, the guest list is absolutely ramjam full. We'll start with I suppose the biggest news, and it is the biggest news, even though I don't class it as a fight. It is the biggest news. Tyson Fury is going to be fighting Francis Ngannou. It comes of no surprise, I don't think, to the majority of people that have been keeping across everything that's been going on in the fight sports realm, I suppose, over the last 12 months. You've just said there that you're excited for it. Tell me why you're excited for it.
Because it's something a bit different. If it was just that fight announced with none of the other fights announced, I'm looking at the whole block, if you like.
Why?
Because I'm looking at the whole block because nothing was moving in the heavyweight division up until about a week and a half ago. Right. And now we've got all these heavyweight fights. I'll tell you, ideally, I would like to have seen Tyson Fury defend against Andy Ruiz.
Would you not want to see Usyk?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to see the undisputed title fight, but I'm not in control of that.
None of us are, but we've got an opinion on it, haven't we?
No, we have got an opinion on it, but my opinion is there's a big board game going on out there right now, and the board game is being dictated in some ways by Middle Eastern money, and in other ways by the flexing of promotional muscle to say, no, we're the A side, we'll create our own narrative arc. And it's been fascinating. The one thing that's fascinating about boxing, because there are different sanctioning bodies, because there are different promoters, and because there are different broadcasters, and because it's a business as much as a sport.
Well, it's only a business.
It is only a business, but it's a sport as well.
It's not. This is not a sporting contest. Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury is not a sporting contest.
Well, it's a prize fight.
It's not a fight. It's an event. I'll give you an event.
It's a prize fight.
It's not a prize fight, mate. Come on.
Is Francis Ngannou a fighter?
He's an MMA fighter, yeah.
He's a fighter. Is Tyson Fury a fighter?
He's a boxer.
Okay. It's a prize fight.
There's money on the line for two guys to stand at an event and they'll both get paid. But we know the result.
Well, I mean, I think it's overwhelming. If Tyson Fury doesn't win that, he's in trouble. And he's got to win a rematch.
Listen, this is like saying the best way... And listen, Frank's going to be on the show later on, as is Todd DeBuff, and I'll put this to them, right? Manchester City are the best football team in the world, okay? The All Blacks are the best rugby team in the world. They both play with a ball. They both run on a pitch. They both play with a ball. If Manchester City were to play the All Blacks at football, who would win?
Clearly Man City.
Okay.
And if they played the other way around, clearly the All Blacks.
Okay, all right.
But we had it years ago when Bath and Wigan, I think it was Bath and Wigan, played each other at Rugby League and Rugby Union. And clearly the guys who play in that code win that code. And that's what's going to happen here. It is going to happen here. But Francis Ngannou could have stayed in the UFC. He left the UFC as the incumbent heavyweight champion, didn't he?
Right.
He left for a reason. He was unhappy with his lot. And you know, the UFC is a brilliant global corporate company now that's aligned with the WWE. It's grown exponentially. Look, I've been around it for, I want to say, 18 years, okay? It's an extraordinary entity. It's a business as much as a sport.
Yeah.
It's done brilliantly well it's exponentially, it's the biggest growing sport I've ever witnessed in my career in fight sports. And as you know, I've written about it for The Telegraph. I broadcast on talkSPORT about it. I've been involved in TV from ESPN to BT Sport, doing the first shows on it. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's a phenomenal sport. It's also, its algorithms and its patterns are different to boxing.
Of course.
It's easier to put the best in with the best.
Of course.
Very quickly. So in modern parlance, in modern ways, the young people that follow the sport now see fights being made very quickly, and I applaud that. It doesn't happen in boxing that way. It's never happened that way.
No.
It could happen that way if the promoters came together, the broadcasters came together.
But they're not going to.
They're not going to. They only do when there's massive money.
Yeah, but they're all serving their own purpose, so therefore they've all got their own agendas.
Yeah. So this is a step. This is the Tyson Fury show going on in Saudi Arabia with the Saudi Arabian government now, Riyadh season, not with an organisational group as in Skills Challenge. It's a rival to what Eddie Hearn's doing with Anthony Joshua over there with the Deontay Wilder fight. And I know we'll come to that in the next section because I've got great things to say about Anthony Joshua tonight as well. This is a sideshow to the big event.
Is it embarrassing?
No, there's nothing embarrassing about it.
Why not?
I'm not embarrassed about it.
Okay.
I don't think the people promoting it aren't embarrassed.
No, because they're making a lot of cash.
But the Riyadh season want to open their season with it. It's in its 4th year. As we know, because we've been over there are some media calls. Amnesty International say, look at the things that are going on in Saudi Arabia. This is sports washing. But as we know as well, there's another side to it, which is the liberals in Saudi Arabia want to put these sports events on. They want to change their society.
They're looking to change the image of the country, is what they're looking to do.
But also looking to change the way people can live their lives for a younger audience who are more westernised and to do different things outside the remit of, Islamicization, So you have to understand all those things culturally. I was very much in the frame at the beginning that Joshua and Usyk shouldn't have been fighting in Saudi Arabia, but having been over there with you and with our team and speaking to the people that are doing it there, they are the liberals. They want to bring change. And I understand that. So I get why they want these events over there, because they do have a resonance. I'm
talking about the event specifically. I'm talking about the heavyweight champion of the world fighting a guy that has never had a boxing match. Is that embarrassing for the sport?
If you want to see it as embarrassing, then it is embarrassing for the sport. I think it's a sideshow on the way to what will be the clash of the Titans next year when Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk eventually fight. But what I'm saying is...
But we've been promised that for 3 years now. We've been promised undisputed fights for 3 years.
But when... Yes, I know. That is why... not just the undisputed fight, but we've been promised specifically... Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk.
Yeah.
Those are the two fights, in my view, that need to happen in this era of heavyweight boxing.
They should have already happened.
They should have already happened. So should Errol Spence and Terence Crawford that we've waited 3.5 years for. And they're in the same sport. And they have rival promoters.
On that, why is that happening?
We waited 5 years. I covered it inside out from Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather against Manny Pacquiao. We waited 5 years.
You've just gone specific on Spence and Crawford. Why is that fight happening? That fight is happening because two fighters ignored their teams. They got on the phones to each other. They thrashed it out. One of those fighters left his promoter because of the relationship that the promoter has with the other promoter in order to become a free agent to make the fight happen. It comes down to the fighters.
It does. I agree.
It comes down to the fighters at the end of it.
Yeah.
If the fighters don't want to fight, you're not going to get a fight.
Yeah, I think the fighters always want to fight. I think Anthony Joshua...
I don't think they do.
I think they do. Actually, there have been instances in the time I've been covering where Ricky Hatton didn't want to fight Junior Witter, didn't want to give him a payday. I don't think that there could be an element with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury that one doesn't want to give the other a payday. That's possible. That is possible. I do not think, for all the stuff we see on the surface, I am talking about social media and rants and
that's fair.
Greedy Belly and Tyson Fury going off on a rant and unhappy with things, and that really is on the surface. I do agree with you. If fighters want to make fights, they can make them.
Yeah.
Terence Crawford, as you say, left Top Rank ignominiously in lots of ways and very unhappily and you have to congratulate Al Heyman, the PBC for Premier Boxing Champions, for getting the Spence Crawford fight over the line. It's a fight I think about 5 times a day at the moment, and will do all the way to whatever it is, July the 29th or 28th. Yeah, it's an amazing fight. It's so hard to pick a winner, and there's so much jeopardy in it for both men. There isn't a lot of jeopardy in this fight, but what I would say is this:
zero.
Let's judge these guys. We all want it now. Let's judge all these heavyweights, and we're talking about Anthony Joshua and Dillian White, I think, in the next section, don't we?
Yeah.
Let's judge all these heavyweights when they have finished. Let's judge them in 2 years' time. Let's judge them when and if they haven't fought each other, because I'm telling you, Fury and Usyk will happen, and it wouldn't surprise me if it happens in the UK.
How can you guarantee that?
I can't guarantee it.
Exactly. So what you've just said, it will happen.
But we're not at the end of their careers right now.
I get that, and what you're saying,
and I think Fury and Joshua will happen.
I fully understand what you're saying.
I think White and Wilder may happen.
I agree by judging things once things have happened. Okay, but we are in a dangerous position because boxing.
We are not in a dangerous position.
We are in a very dangerous position with the audience. Now, the reason
the audience, maybe.
Now, why I'm saying this is this: boxing's flying. We've just said Spence and Crawford, tremendous. Inoue Fulton's coming up. Nobody's talking about these fights. Nobody's talking about these super fights where the very best of the best are fighting each other. We've got Beterbiev defending against Callum Smith coming up in August. We'll talk to Todd DeBuff about that later on. We've got some great fights to get really excited about between now and the end of the year in boxing. But, as you know, the mainstream, the casual audience out there are judging our sport with what goes on in the heavyweight division. And all they see at the moment is the heavyweight champion of the world talking a lot about certain things and then doing something completely contrary and taking us off to the circus. And that's how they are judging our sport. They're switching off. They are going to MMA. They are going to other sports, and they are not paying full interest.
Yeah, but they'll come back for the big fights. They always do. It's peaks and troughs, Adam. I mean, that's my experience of it in 3 and a bit decades. It is peaks and troughs. It's the Wild West. It's ungovernable. It's not easy to... We don't have a world governing... If we had a world governing body that demanded these fights take place, they could do nothing about it.
I agree.
But here's my thing. I know people are unhappy at the moment. Our job, I think our job is to observe it, to give our opinions on it, whether we agree or not. But at the same time, I do think that we're going to go through an era now where most of the big fights will end up in Saudi Arabia, and the heavyweight division will play out in the next 2.5 to 3 years. And at the end of that, yes, I want to see one fight I didn't mention there was Wilder Usyk. I want to see all these fights, and I think there's enough money because these guys have got to the point where they are earning 8-figure sums, all of them, for these fights. Top 4 anyway, top 4, 5. And that's what they're going to go for. You can't force them to fight. Most of them are sleeping in silk pyjamas already anyway.